What's up, guys? This is Mike, aka Toadmoto. I'm out at a very special spot today with my dog. I brought a friend with me, but we're gonna go check out some cliff dwellings, some ruins, some rock art, some petroglyphs that tell a pretty disturbing story. So you're gonna want to stick around. It's gonna show the ant people. It's gonna show some head hunting, maybe a human sacrifice, maybe a war story, or maybe it was just a warning to tell people to stay away from this place. Right now we're up on this kind of like a peninsula up in the sky is a good way of explaining it. And what I mean by that is there's a canyon that wraps all around what we're standing on. So you got these dogs over here. And the very first part of this journey I'm going to show you, it's not going to be all that interesting to look at, but trust me, this is hella interesting. All this rubble, this is from Pueblo One people who built some pit houses up here that overlooks both of the canyons that wrap around this peninsula in the sky. So this is probably 2,000 or 3,000 years old. And what you're looking at, all this rubble, this was once a wall. This was once people's houses, their pit houses. And when you get all the way to the top of what, again, I call it the castle, you'll see kind of the depression of the pit house where they lived. Just right here, an old pit house that they lived in. And on all sides of this pit house, there's more pit houses. And what's pretty cool, something I haven't seen here, this is something you'll see with like the Incan Empire, are terraces or rock walls that are all below it. So see how the ground is flat right here? This would have been another pit house, I imagine, that I'm walking on. And then the wall was built up. This is a terrace right here of all this rubble that brings this up. So there's the castle up there. And look, here's some pottery, just right off the bat. Some old school Native American pottery. And this is everywhere out here. You'll find all sorts of artifacts, mother stones, flakes from the tool working, pottery, colored pottery, all of it. And on this hike, going into the canyon, we're gonna drop down to some cliff dwellings. And check this out. This is something I saw the last time I was out here. So here's that wall to that terrace right here. But the natives, they also built another large rock wall right here. All these big rocks are placed. And it goes all the way down there, all the way around the rim. And these are the biggest rocks that I've seen the Native Americans move to build some sort of like a wall, or maybe it was more for like the aesthetics. And then what I really like over here, I'm not going to climb out to it, but I did on my Instagram videos and TikTok videos, is there's an arch down here the dog can crawl through. So if you look right here, this is one of my favorite things ever. You can walk out onto this little peninsula right here. There's an arch that will go underneath it the dogs can go through. But at the end of this thing right here, there's fire damage in that pit. It almost looks like a perfect place for an eagle's nest, but the natives would use this to signal other natives in the canyon. That was a signal fire right here. And look at this big canyon. And who knows how many dwellings or ruins are down there. I know where one is. I didn't know it was there until I started exploring. We might come across some new stuff today, but stick around if you want to see some of the most disturbing yet cool ant people petroglyphs, as well as head hunting or human sacrifices. So I'm walking down just below that little fireplace that they would have on that point. Come on, Koba, let's go. I'm being careful not to step on pottery. Here's my friend Will. He's joining me on this hike. He's the man. And watch this, the dog already knows what to do. Hey, Koba, can you go through it? Go on, go through the hole. Go on, what's over there? Go. What's in there? Go. So she'll crawl back there, and the dogs like it. That's where the fireplace was. It's just so cool. It's a perfect place for an eagle's nest. And what we're gonna do now is just keep on dropping down into the canyon. We'll show you guys the dwellings when we get there. Okay, so this is something I saw a couple days ago. Look at this little hole that goes through the ground. The erosion's just eating this through, and it dribbles down or drips down. But what I want to show you, we can go down into this canyon right now and start hiking. It's just really muddy down there, so we're going to stay up on top of this mesa to make it over to the dwellings. But I wanted to show you guys this tree of life. Look how big this old cottonwood is. And I'm telling you, it does not do it justice. Let me show my friend Will to give you a little bit of perspective. The base of that, the girth of that, I don't know. It's got to be 15, 20 feet girth on that. I don't know. It's big. but that's been here for a long time. And so have the natives. I was just telling my friend that the natives that built the cliff dwellings that we're going to are closer in time to us than the natives that did the original petroglyphs by the cliff dwellings, at least in my opinion, uneducated opinion, just what I know and what I've read online. I could be off. Like, I'm not an archaeologist, I'm not an expert at any of this stuff. I'm a hobbyist that likes to learn, and I like to get out with the dog and see some pretty special stuff, but I will never claim to know something, because at the end of the day, even the experts, they're guessing to a certain degree, or to a lot of degree, depending on what you're talking about. We just love getting out. The dog absolutely loves this. Get some fresh air, some fresh smells, maybe see some wildlife. Hopefully not a mountain lion, but there are bears here. There's mountain lions, coyotes, rattlesnakes. The snakes could even be out today, even though we got snow today. We're in the 60s. We've been seeing some lizards. So I imagine if a snake did come out, it's going to be pretty slow, not moving around all that great. But there's Ruby dog. I'll show you guys another view of the tree of life over here. We're not hiking on any trails up on top of the mesa, so we're being careful not to walk through or walk on crypto dirt. If you know what crypto dirt is, it's basically living dirt. Has organisms in it, has its own little ecosystem, and if you step on it, it wounds it, and it looks ugly. You can see your footprints in it for years and years and years, for 1,000 years. Depending on which species of crypto dirt you step in, we'll show you, or it will depend on how long it will stay there after. So we're just gonna keep hiking. The hike's not far to get to these ruins, but we're gonna go look for more, because when there's one, there's probably more, and I bet we'll find some new stuff today. Look at these bubble rocks right here. It almost looks like teeth, and that's not what it is, but I know someone's gonna say this was a fossilized dinosaur or giant or whatever, because you know how people are online. But it's just cool how the rocks out here form all these little pools. There's places to get water, there's food sources, lookout points, plenty of firewood. Just an ideal place to live. In the summer, it gets hot out here, gets really dry. So here's a flake right here. It's not an arrowhead. There's another flake that they had worked with. But we're looking for arrowheads now. We do not take any pottery. We don't take anything. It's not ours to take. You can pick it up. You got to put it back. Don't stack the pottery that you find. To take pictures of them. You can take pictures of them, but we just put it back. As long as you're not damaging anything or ruining anything, then you're allowed to do that. Careful with the pottery. It does have bad mojo with it. Be respectful. Leave offerings if you can. Wipe yourself off with sagebrush. That's what I do. It's not necessarily my beliefs, but I want to be as respectful as possible. And on these hikes, I'm telling you guys, there are places that I've gone to where there's a certain vibe about them, and they can be positive vibes or they can be extremely negative vibes. Sometimes you walk into like an energy field and it's almost like a wall. I was with a friend, we were walking, and we walked through this like energy wall of just positive vibes, and I felt it. I didn't say anything. I looked over at him, and we both got each other in the eye, and we both smiled because we knew exactly. Look at this rock right here. This one's like glowing. Let me see if I can get that to focus. Look at that guy. I don't even think that's a rock. I think that's like sap. But he totally felt the vibe, and then about another 10 feet after we walked through it, we walked out of it. It was like walking out of a wall. It's one of the craziest experiences I've had, but I've also been to places where it said you shouldn't be here, or there's something bad and dark happened here. Now the petroglyph panel that we're going to go see is pretty disturbing, but my first time there, nothing but good vibes. 100%. Look at these rock formations over here. It's very different from where I live in Moab. Like, look at this crack on this giant rock. This beautiful canyon. And we're coming down from up on top of that peninsula. That's where that castle would have been. And where we're going, in fact, look right here, you can see the dwellings. Right here. Look at this, guys. There's the cliff dwelling right there. So there's the very top of it with the doorway. We'll zoom in a little bit more. And the alien petroglyphs and head-hunting petroglyphs are going to be right below that. All right, so we're just on our last descent to get to the dwellings. Just a nice, quick little easy hike. Not a lot of elevation gains or losses. On the way back, we'll have a little bit of an elevation gain. One, to get out of the canyon, and then two, to get back on top of that knoll that we traveled down. But we're going to come down this old pathway here. There is cattle troughs down here, so I imagine farmers back in the day kind of leveled this out a little bit. But there would have been an old Native American hiking trail right here along this ledge, and we don't know what's up this canyon, but we're going to find out. Now, the first thing we're going to see when we're coming down here before we get to the dwellings is an old granary. There's a lot of interesting things about this granary too, because it was the last thing I saw on my trip out here last time, and I started observing more of it on the way back, and it got me asking myself some questions about it. So let's check it out. It's just right up here. So the granary is where they would store their food. And this little cave right here, if you see right here, it almost looks like they had knocked out the wall right here. And there's the granary right here. I don't want to put my foot down by these cracks because there could be snakes down there. There's probably not, but that's a old little granary. Do you guys think that they chipped this wall out right here? It almost looks like it, right? It could be. It might not be. Who knows? But I think they did. I don't think that little crack above it's natural. You got all this smooth wall. I think they hit at it with some stones to give them a little bit of headspace to get back in there to get their food. Okay, now we're on the last little bit descent to get to the cliff dwellings and to the petroglyphs. And this place is just a remarkable place, an absolutely beautiful place to live. And I'll show you right now where the dwellings are. There's still the front entrance of it. Now that's actually a really big door. Normally they're about a foot shorter than that. I would say that's probably at least 3 feet, maybe 3.5 feet tall. There's still wood that's coming out of the base of it. You can see the wood. There's 4 little pulls there. There's wood at the very top of the doorway right there. And when we get in there, it's just art is the best way I could explain it. It's a very sacred place for the Native Americans here. And the different tribes that lived here over different generations. The Ant-Man panel is something that I first noticed. I mean, I've seen Ant-Man panels before, but I've never seen an Ant-Man head hunting panel before. And when I get up there, I'll show you guys what I see. Okay, so before we get to the dwellings, I want to go over the rock art. We'll start here. The bighorn sheep is above a coyote or a dog. It almost looks like my dog Koba. But right next to it, you got a black bear with some big bear tracks, some big bear prints on it. And this is where we're going to start getting into the wild stuff. The stick figure beans right here, this is what we call Glen Canyon linear style. And this would be an ant person. So when I first saw this, I was just so ecstatic saying, oh man, look at all these cool petroglyphs, these ant people. And then it wasn't until after that I started looking more into it that I noticed that it's pretty disturbing. So let's see what I kind of see. If you notice on this ant person right here, his head is all the way chipped in, unlike the other ones. So something about him's different. His antennae are also longer. He's got this dot going through his neck. Does that mean that his head's getting chopped off? Or it's showing that it's getting chopped off? I don't know, maybe. That turkey track that looks like its hand, that could be an ant person hand, or it could be a turkey track. I don't know. It looks like he's kind of like pointing his hand at you saying stop or something. This right here, to my best guess, could be a snake head. Its mouth is open and the snake has been decapitated as well. It could be intestines that have coming out of the bodies of these guys. So let's look at this now. And there's a lot of interesting things that you could miss if you don't look at it close enough. Let me take my glasses off so I can see a little bit better. Okay. This Ant-Man right here, he's got eyes, 2 eyes, and a nose or a mouth. So he's almost like alive. I think these could be tears, although the tears that I've seen in the past are dotted that go down it. This next guy, that's a decapitated head. And let's look at the guy that's holding it, and let's look over both of these for a second. So he's got 2 eyes and a mouth. He's alive. He's living. He's got his antennae. He's holding a decapitated head. Notice that there's no eyes. He's dead. There's no life left to him. His antennae are cut off, or they're a lot shorter. They're shriveled up. Also, I believe he has an erection. This is a sign of power. It's also a sign of masculinity, a sign of where they were at in their tribes or with their clan. He's holding that head. And over here, there's another head that looks like it has blood that's squirting out of it. And notice there's no eyes and there's not even a mouth on that one. And the last cliff I want to show you above it is what I believe is a heart. I think this was a heart that they took out of one of these beans. And that's right above them. And so this panel, if you look into it, it could be really disturbing. I think it's absolutely fascinating. From what I understand, the Glen Canyon linear style, the petroglyphs, the ones that are chipped in with the rock, are much older than the pictograph. From what I've learned, or what I've been taught, the cliff dwellers, or the Puebloans that came here to live here, they desecrated this with that red paint to get rid of all the bad spirits and the bad omens of the people who did the decapitated petroglyphs. And so they would have done that, and then they would have built these cliff dwellings right above my head right here. And there's just a few more petroglyphs over here. There's the bear petroglyph. Look how cool that is. Beautiful bear prints. I always say the natives struggled drawing bears, but this is a pretty good one. There's a snake over here, and then we're going to get to some stuff that you don't really see all that often, or at least I don't. But look at this rock down below it. There's some grinding stones, but there's also petroglyphs. Now I don't know what they are, the petroglyphs. They could be clan symbols. I've looked at them. There's a snake. There's one right here. That could be a clan symbol. But look at this. This is what you don't see every day. You got this one. It's a person, I believe. And then you got another person that's sitting down. Now what's interesting about this is this is a grinding stone. They wouldn't have worked with this grinding stone after they put the petroglyph there. Why would you put rock art in a place that you're going to be grinding stuff on? It's not going to last all that long. So maybe the person that used that died, or they're telling you a story about what went on there. What do you guys think about the rock art here? Did I miss anything? Did I say anything wrong? What do you have to add to it? What do you think about the ant people? Do you know that in Hopi, Anu means ant and Naki means people? If you do speak Hopi, I'd like to have that verified, because I've heard that, I've read that, and I've watched Ancient Aliens, and that's actually where I heard it from. But yeah, let's go back and we'll look at the cliff dwellings. I'm going to let my friend come over here and check all this stuff out. So I'm at the back end of this alcove right now. This would have been a good place for safety from the elements, from the weather. You can see a lot of fire damage up top. I'd imagine back in the day, this would have been full of pots with either food or water that they had stored up there. This could have been an old fireplace down in here. Right, look at all that fire damage down there. And who knows how far back that goes and how far down it drops. I'm not going to find out because I'm not sticking my head in there. And the last thing you should ever do and never do is dig at these places or go to places where you shouldn't. Now there are some petroglyphs right here that lead up to the ruin. And you can see the wear on the rock from people crawling up this. So they would have crawling up this rock. Look, there's another petroglyph right here. Look how cool that guy is. There could be more up there. I'm not going to climb up, but it just as a sign of respect. But there's the cliff dwelling up there. And look at the view of this, guys. Doesn't this look like something out of a movie? It's all artsy. You got the water that's trickling off of the cliff right here. It's beautiful sound. Just very solemn. I would say peaceful until you look at the petroglyphs right there. And there's their cliff dwelling up there. But look at all the fire damage that's on the wall up there. They were cooking and building fires and doing stuff up there all the time. What right here could have been, this could have been part of another dwelling, a chimney or a ladder to get up there. There's a piece of wood that has some charcoal damage on it. But again, you can very easily crawl up there. It would be a lot easier if you're a smaller person, but for a large person like me, it'd be kind of a pain in the butt to get up there. So I imagine they would have had a ladder here. And this would have been something. You can see all the mortar here. And there's what's probably a kiva right here, or a pit house dwelling right down here at the bottom. Now my pictures from last time I came here, I was wondering if this wall was plastered. It almost looked like it had plaster on it. Rock right here, look at that, how white that is. And up here, but look at the wall, how red it gets. It's almost like they put mud all over it. So right here, I'm looking up at the ramp that goes up to the dwellings up there. And looking around, there's a lot of pack rat crap right there. But if you notice, they stuck some rock, and there's even some mortar right here. So there very well could have been a wall right here, so they wouldn't have crawled up to it. It would have kept people from getting into it, and they would have had a ladder right here. Isn't that cool? The branch hanging out, the door up there. I don't know what's back up in there, but it looks like that's probably where they had their fire, with all that fire damage. But I'm not seeing any more petroglyphs up on this wall. Right on. So we're out looking for just whatever we can find. Exploring, really. And we're at the bottom of the canyon now. A place you would not want to be during monsoon season. A flash flood would totally wipe you out. I hike so much slower now that my legs don't work all that great. And then when I film, I can't use my hiking stick all that well. But this stuff's pretty easy. This is usually where I find arrowheads. It's down at the bottom of washes after a storm is when I'll find them. Watch out, let's go, Cobra. These dogs are going crazy. So yeah, we're going to go up right here and get up onto that ledge above the dogs. And we'll keep on going from there. Alright, so we came across another ruin right here. Or something old. Which would have been right here. You can see remnants of a wall that's been washed away from the flash floods. But I first noticed that something would have been here from the fire damage. And then the old ruins right here. And it looks like there could have been more than one. Come over here, Cobra. And then there's this right here. This actually looks like a burial plot. Or it could be. That's what I've been told before when rocks are placed like that. I don't know. If you guys know, let me know online.